Hello and welcome back to Townhill Junction. Today we're going to test a new camera, show you some of the progress up in the railway room, and so some of our new arrivals, including the Pendolino from Hornby and the new Avanti West Coast livery. So what have we been doing in the loft? Those who were with us last time will remember that we had a very empty space. We'd managed to fit a light. If you want to watch back episode 1, you can watch it in a link that should be appearing on your screen now, where you can see we reviewed Rainbow Railways resprayed Backman 158 into the ScotRail livery. Back to this update. As you can see, we've been really busy. We've fully insulated the space using massive 125mm thick insulation, so it's toasty up here even though we're now back into winter. We've also added plenty of plasterboard around the kind of display area to give it a more kind of homely feel and hopefully to keep all the dust off the layout. As you can see, we've got one of our test boards in. Those who follow me on Facebook will know that I've been using that to look at different sizes, how many lanes can we get in, how many tracks, and you can see just at the top we've been testing some curves to see what we can fit in. Round in the rest of the loft you can see some of that insulation creating the space and our big boards. The layout's going to basically stay as we saw earlier, around the room in a big rectangle shape. We've installed our telly where we can sit and watch all of our favourite YouTube channels. Too many to name just now, but maybe that's something we'll do in another episode. We didn't move the pipes in the end. Those who watched layout update 1, I know we did talk about it, but just too much work. So we've got some finishing touches to do. Got to finish off the sealing of the insulation, finish off these boards, and then use some of the wood and insulation that you can see down here to build ourselves a layout. As we come back round, hopefully this camera will be picking up the sound fairly well, and hopefully you'll get an alright picture. The hope is that we can use this camera a bit more often. We've got a tripod, a few other things for kind of still shots. So what else have we been doing? We've been doing a lot of measurements. Trying to work out the right size of baseboards and the right heights. It's been a bit of a nightmare really. It's all guesswork, playing with any rails and many other plans, lots of pens and paper, having a look. What we then need to do is see if we can fit the whole rake. Here you can see 2 coaches, 2 different ScotRail sets. One used on the kind of 5 circle, being pulled as part of the DRS kind of additional scope contract at rush hour. And we've also got one of the Inter7 Cities ScotRail liveried Mark IIIs. Both stunning, and hopefully we'll see the full rakes of them running around here pretty soon. We want to have a look at the track. We've got a few bits of flexi track we've been using for just kind of marking out, having a look. And next I'm going to show you some of these Avanti Pendolino coaches, and we'll see. Here we have Hornby's new Pendolino. Basically exactly the same model as they made before. It's been spruced up with this new Avanti West Coast livery. Using the same tooling as they've used for a fair while now, this one's been updated to be really bright and modern in the Avanti West Coast livery. Avanti have just taken over the route and most of the trains are being painted to look like this right now. You'll see them going up from Glasgow and Edinburgh all the way down to London on the West Coast main line. Pendolino's famous for their tilting action. These models do tilt. They've got working lights. We've gone for the 9-car rake. Hornby are not doing an 11-car rake. Some of the trains are 9-car rakes that go up and down, but more and more often now they were upgraded to be 11 cars. But as you'll see, 9 cars is plenty for this layout. So let's get some of them out and have a look. We picked up this model from KMS Railtech up in Aberdeenshire, and they very kindly added the DCC sound chip and also pointed out that we needed a chip in the far end in the dummy coach for the lights to work. Huge thanks to them. Give them a look. They're always there to help and always good at finding the full rakes so you don't have to. If we open it up, you can see the details pretty good. It's still the original tooling, but the bogies have had a bit more work done to them. Tripods are fairly simple, but they're not too dissimilar to the real thing. But compared to some of the more modern models that we're getting used to, it's definitely a little on the simple side. Good detail with the stickers, but it's just stickers. And obviously we could drill that space out to put the lights in when the doors are unlocked. But people like Bachmann, Accurascale are doing that sort of thing now as part of their standard models. Pendolino's slightly different. The pantographs are on some of the coaches, so we'll get that out of the box. I apologise about the Shaley hand. The camera's died. I'm not going all the way down to charge it because I don't even know if it works. But here we've got the 4-car set. So this comes as the pack. You get the power car, dummy car, coach with a pantograph and coach without. Both first class though. You can see some of the details on the front end. It's got the 3 working lights, the headlight and the 2 normal lights on either side. You see there's a bit of detail. I mean, the livery's painted on absolutely perfectly, really. I have no issues with that at all. The running number, where you put the bikes. It's just the detail on the top's just a little bit simple. I've spent a lot of time recently on the trains trying to have a look, and they are quite simple beasts. They're very streamlined, and they do look quite stunning in these colours, to be honest. I much prefer them to the Virgin. If you look at the pantograph itself, you can see it sits down in its down position. Then mechanical, it just clips up. No, it doesn't. It's a bit fiddly. Well, that's not a great start. I'm going to put the phone down, see if we can get it to work, and we'll come back to it. So we got it up in the end, no pun intended. It's just a little bit fiddly. It doesn't just click in place. You're just going to be very careful. It's quite flimsy, but it has gone up. You can see it adds a fair bit of height to your model, so if you're putting stuff like tunnels, bridges, you've got to give it enough clearance for it to get round. Obviously if you're running wires you need enough space for that as well. We'll have a play about with it. If you've got one at home and you've had a go, I don't know how adjustable the settings are. It doesn't seem very adjustable here. It's only got one position. Well, that'll have to be the height that the bridge and stuff would be designed to. Kind of constrains your layout a little bit, which when you're not running perfectly prototypical can be a thing. You can see in the detail around here it's okay, it's got a bit of colour, but it looks a little bit plasticky. You can see it's not very sharp. I'm assuming that's just because the tooling's been used quite a few times. It's kind of rounded off some of those edges. Again, it's not bad, but compared to some of the detail you're getting elsewhere and the price you're paying, I'll leave it up to you to decide if it's worth it. Now, this is obviously a 4-car rake. You see it's kind of taking up a fair bit of the loft, but what's it going to look like when we've only got 9? Let's have a look. So here we have the full 9-car rake. At the end you can see a 3rd radius curve, so you can get a rough idea of what sort of kind of space we're going to have at the end. And you see it pretty much maxes out what we've got. You can see the 9 cars going all the way along. Put the other pantograph there. And the final coach dummy car there. There's about 600mm between each of the wooden beams. So we've got 3 gaps left. Pretty much means we could just about fit 2 more coaches in just before we're spinning back round again, but to leave room for points and the like. It's not a lot of room, but you can run massive long rakes in the loft. That was always the aim. It's always going to have to be with a bit of compromise. Basically, I think it looks absolutely stunning. Even if it doesn't quite fit in the station, we'll hopefully have it at least running through. Here's my finger. See, the colours look fantastic when it's laid out like this. Can't wait to have it whizzing around the loft. We do have one longer train than this at the moment, and that's the LNER HST. We've got a full 11 car rake, so we'll have to look at that in terms of how it fits into the station. Hopefully a bit of a curve, give us a bit of room. And you can see it's just on old bits of flexi tracks, so not fully stable down, so there's a bit of a wiggle, which we'd have less than that. So maybe need to model it based on a bit of a more curvy station. Those who've been to Bristol Temple Meads will know that's one big massive curve. Is that something we should look at? Should we go much further down onto kind of the third radius bends there? Or should we have a nice sweeping curve? Not decide how much else we're going to show you in this layout update. We can do a bit of video editing, have a look, work out when we're getting some plywood for these baseboards. Got some 9mm ply in order, a few bits coming after that. And we need to make some battens to run across here. What do you think? Do you think a full-size station's too big? I think we should be doing a half-size station so we can get a bit more detail, a bit more scenery in. That'll hide the fact that we can't quite fit a full rake in. We're not far off. Let us know in the comments. Find us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us your thoughts, give us your experiences. What have you learned whilst doing the hobby, or what do you like looking at? If there's anything else you want in these layout updates, please let me know. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more building in the future. As the weather's setting in, got much more of an excuse to kind of be up here. Thank you very much for joining us here at Townhill Junctions. Trying to put the pantograph back down and put it away in the box was going really, really well. As you can see, it's perfectly folded away, just no longer attached to the model. What a disaster. Not too difficult to fix, but still annoying. Those who've been following us on Facebook will have seen I've been playing about with different track sizes, different amounts of tracks, how many loops, inclines, no inclines, and just having a go at trying to set in my head what I'm actually going to build. This is a 800-bit board, so our new boards will be slightly wider. You can see here there's plenty of room. The hope is to have a fairly large station, represented by the Hornby boxes there. Some sort of clock tower, represented by the soft drinks can there. And then have a range of tracks. The idea is to have 2 tracks on either side that will stop. Have a platform at either side for DMUs, short trains to come and terminate at this big station. 2 of our kind of commuter main lines, allow trains to kind of go around. Of a reasonable size, stop. Probably going to be mainly the ScotRail services, DMUs, ScotRail whatever, 7 cities. And then further out, some of the express trains. So Pendolino, our HST, LNER, and our Azumas once they come online. With an extra line on the outside, that'll be used as a bit of a siding. Realistically, it'll be that middle lane that we're going to use as a bit of siding, and that'll allow us to move some trains from the inner 2 on the loop to the outer 2 on the loop. We'd love to know your thoughts on this. We'd love to know whether you think the station's going to be too wide, or is we going for something less ambitious. As I say, it will be slightly wider. We've got enough room there to kind of put a road in, as you can see, with that upside down track, and a bit of building, which is what we want. We'll then put a bit of a back scene up. You can see there's kind of a black mark there where roughly we think it'll sit slightly higher than where it is now. and they'll run up to the plasterboard. In terms of length, we're going to have a look at the Pendolinos next, but the hope is to have enough room to have a DMU siding on each side of a main central building. That'll allow the trains to kind of go round in a loop and come back and stop and terminate at the other side, making it look like you're getting some services from the east, some services from the west. There is a fair amount of room. The intention is to run fairly prototypical rakes, of which many are in these boxes. Ignore the fudge. And hopefully we'll see them spinning round. And then either at this end, above the telly, we'll have a bit of a bridge. If not, with the other end, we'd love your thoughts on that. Originally this was going to be a bridge to kind of give us a bit more headroom to kind of span over the top of the telly and allow us to kind of see it as we're working away. And that's where our access point is. But on kind of further reflection, I'm kind of going to actually just a set bit of track that's on a nice board that I can crawl it underneath might be better. I might save the bridges for the other end. We will have the line splitting behind here. We're going to make this some sort of a feature, some sort of a hill or something around to hide these pipes. And at the other end where we've kind of got some cables, we could put the bridge here. And we also want to have a bit of a test track and a bit of a control centre. We need to pick where that goes to. If you want to message us, find us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And hopefully, as the weather sets in and we get a bit more progress, we'll get plenty more videos on YouTube. Here on Townhill Junction. One of the other arrivals at Townhill Junction in the last couple of months was these fantastic Accurascale KUA nuclear flask wagons. These wagons, which we'll open up in just a minute, take fuel from the Ministry of Defence sites to Sellafield, so from Vulcan, from KUA Junction just south of Thurso, from Rosyth Royal Dockyard, and from Devonport Royal Dockyard. Let's open up and have a look. These KUA wagons are over 80 feet and are over 150 tonnes, hence all the axles. They were built to a very specific design code back in 1998. Their main job is nuclear fuel. There was only ever 2 of them made, and I think Accurascale have absolutely nailed it. The detail on these, as we'll take them out in a second, look absolutely stunning. A couple versions that are kind of weathered up. I think that's something we might do to these models to make it look a bit more realistic. But there's a myriad of pictures from them in active service, from Rosyth, Plymouth, all across the UK as they go over to Cumbria. We can see here the Accurascale KUA wagon in all its glory. We've taken one out of the box just to give you an idea. I think they look absolutely stunning. Now, these are massive wagons. These are longer than your normal coaches. As you can imagine, 150 tonnes has to be spread out over every single one of these axles. And you can see there's lots of information on here, from its running number, safety details. There's even little levers there above the bogies and the walkways themselves. You can see the covers themselves. They slide open to allow the flask to be loaded, and then slide up. It's nice weatherproof covers. Now, usually these would be seen with a pair of locomotives, especially when they're in use, and that's just for redundancy. But also, the DRS will supply escort wagons, which will come with health physicists, as well as a security detail. Now, these wagons haven't been used for some time, however are about to go back into use. With submarine dismantling now kicking off across the UK, and the test reactor at Vulcan about to be decommissioned, in the next 10 to 15 years we'll see these wagons back performing at their best, moving higher activity waste around the country for safe disposal. It's also a fantastic model if you have a small layout. With one or both of these running, you can have a very prototypical rake that doesn't take up the meters and meters that most of us probably don't have. Again, I think this would be a perfect candidate for a tiny bit of weathering, just to show its age. But other than that, I think Accurascale have absolutely nailed this one. We have a bunch of escort coaches, and we have some of the DRS 66s, We may possibly get some 37s. Give us your opinion on what you think would look best. There's some fantastic books with some photos, but obviously online people have snapped these over the years. They run in completely different formations, and it can add a lot of interest to your layout by moving them around, a bit of shunting. You can get them to look really good, and it adds to our nuclear fleet. Again, Accurascale are showing why, as a new, relatively new supplier, that by putting highly detailed models into circulation, that they'll go very, very popular. Let us know how you found the video. Some of this has been filmed on a new camera, some of it hasn't. Still getting to grips with it. So let's head over for some bonus footage for all you steam buffs out there. You can get your geek on. There's some lovely models. Does lean me towards having some charter train services at Townhill Junction in the future. I just thought it'd be something a wee bit different for the rest of the videos on the YouTube channel.
But whatever customers can just fight for themselves. It's going to be migraine. So the Kit Kat precursor is the rail on the back of the platform at the moment. Yeah.
Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon on Townhill Junction.